Wendy. Thank you for coming.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Wendy.
My pleasure, of course.
Okay. In-person meetings. Yeah.
Congratulations to you, Barry, on your election.
Thank you, Bert. Appreciate it. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Maureen. So we got everybody here. Is Megan on yet, Catherine?
I saw her.
There she
Andrew?
is.
Hi, Nat. I'm here.
Thank you. Just checking. Thank you. Okay. If you guys are ready, I think we can start. If everybody can hear, everybody's on. Jack, you're muted right now, just so you know. Megan, he wasn't supposed to get muted. I don't know how that happened. My daughter told him how to fix that, so. Do you know how to get yourself unmuted, Jack? Uh-oh.
Can't hear you.
Oh, boy. The little microphone thing will have a line through it, Jack. You want to press it, with your finger.
Top.
Did your assistant leave? Oh, boy. Okay. Megan, there's no way for you to unmute Jack, is there?
So I'm trying, but NCTV has Catherine as co-host. NCTV, can you add me as a co-host as well, please? Catherine, if you go on Jack's screen, there should be 3 dots when you hover your mouse over his name, and you should be able to click it and ask him to unmute.
Yep.
Yep, I did. And it's not letting me.
Okay.
Ugh.
Jack, the other trick you can try is if you want to talk, press the space bar, and that will open up the microphone. When you release it, it'll go back to mute, but at least that's a very temporary fix for you. So give it a try. Hit the space bar and talk to us. Leave it depressed when you do it. No? Yeah, you almost had it. Gotta leave it depressed though.
Again?
There you go. Leave it
There we
depressed
go.
whenever you want to talk. When
Okay.
you're done, let up on it and it'll go back to quiet.
Okay.
Got
Never
it?
knew that. This is great.
Oh, there's
I think he did it.
An idiot finally learning the computer.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Barry, for that.
No problem.
Is Derek coming on today, Andrew, or it's just Patrick's on? We don't need Derek tonight.
I think we have a new person.
Oh,
There she
okay.
is.
Hi, yes, I'm going to be the new Mpo Liaison. I'm Raisa.
Raisha, okay. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Patrick?
Mira.
Patrick Reed is our transportation guy, Raisha. Okay. Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order for the May 16th Npadc meeting. And pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020, regarding open meeting law, we will be participating remotely. And so I'll call the meeting to order. And I'll go through the roll call first, and then we'll approve the agenda. So I'll go off what I have here. Mary Longacre,
Good evening.
Barry Rector,
Present.
Dave Iverson,
Here.
Bert Johnson,
Here.
Wendy Hudson,
Here.
Maureen Phillip,
Here.
and Jack Gardner.
Yeah.
Staff, we have Andrew, we have Leslie on, I
Here.
believe, I saw her on. We have Megan,
Here.
and we have Patrick Reed, and we have Catherine Sarah.
Here.
Absent is John Trudell and Matt Fee. Thank you. So with that, I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave. Dave, you muted.
Aye.
Sorry. Bert,
Aye.
Wendy.
Aye.
Maureen
Aye.
and Jack.
Aye.
Thank you. So public comment for anything that's not on the agenda? Is there any public comment before we start for anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Megan?
I see a couple people in the audience, but no one with their hand raised.
Okay, we'll continue then. The minutes of February 8th. Does anyone have any questions, omissions, additions? Otherwise, I'll accept the motion.
The 8th, if you would, can you continue those, please? And just move forward
Okay.
with April? Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone want to make that motion to continue the February 8th?
So moved. I'll second Bert.
So Bert made the motion, Mary seconded. All those in favor, Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen, and Jack.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The April 25th minutes, does anyone have any questions?
I had a brief correction. The motion to approve the agenda it should say a 5-1 vote, just counting the number of votes there.
Okay. You got that, Megan? Is there anything else? With that correction, I'll accept the motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes with that correction.
Second.
Yep. Seconded by Bert. All those in favor, Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
and Jack.
Aye.
Okay. Next item is the tip, to close the 21-day public comment period.
So I can kick us off here.
Hi, Patrick.
Hey, how's it going? I'm going to go ahead and share.
Good, Patrick.
Good. Go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll jump into the item. Again, Patrick Reed, Transportation Program Manager. I'm actually here tonight to present 3 different items, each requiring commission action. The first is the 2023 to 2027 TIP. And then we also have an amendment to the 2022 UPWP, as well as the opening the comment period of the 22 amendment to the UPWP, and opening the comment period for the FY23 UPWP. Always start with a motion just to kind of give people a sense of where we might be going. You can think about edits as necessary along the way. The commission action that we're going to be looking for today is to close the 21-day comment period and endorse the FY23 to 27 Transportation Improvement Program, incorporating any edits as proposed by Massdot, which I'll show you in a couple minutes here, as well as any edits that you approve at the MP and EDC today. So quick Quick overview for folks who might be watching at home. I know the commission's very familiar with the TIP, but sometimes it helps to let everybody know at home a quick overview. What is the TIP? Well, it is the Transportation Improvement Program. It's basically the channel that allows the region to exercise its obligation authority. Now, if you look at the map here on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice something pretty interesting. Most of the regions in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts have quite a number of municipalities. Martha's Vineyard is quite smaller, has 3, but Nantucket is actually the only region in the Commonwealth that has only 1 municipality, and that's great in a lot of ways because it makes the process more efficient and also keeps Nantucket from having to compete against other neighbors for federal funds. Now, on the flip side, it does mean our obligation authority is lower. What do I mean by obligation authority? That's basically the amount of funding that the region can program and that the federal government is committing to provide if we have an eligible project. So the TIP is focused only on federal aid projects, not locally funded projects. I mentioned this the other day when I presented to you all. If there's nothing on the TIP, it doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing going on. It just means there's other funding sources that are being used. The TIP is a financially constrained prioritized list. That means it has to be reasonably show that we have the resources to move a project forward if we are considering programming something in our TIP. And the reason why this is the state uses our document and goes ahead and builds up its own transportation improvement plan at the statewide level. So these things build upon each other. It's a living document and it can be amended following endorsement. So if you choose to endorse the TIP today, it doesn't mean that we can't make changes in the future. There were some questions last time I presented about project eligibility. So one thing to mention here is that any kind of project that's programmed in the TIP has to also first be in the long-range transportation plan for the region. So that comes along every 4 years. We'll be updating it in 2023. The next kind of stage that allows you to add a project to the TIP is a Massdot process. So first, if we were to want to add a project to the TIP, we'd work with Massdot to provide sort of documentation about the purpose and need for the project. Then we go ahead and sit down with Massdot District 5 engineers and go through a coordination and scoping process to kind of get some feedback from them, talk about the purpose and need, and then the project will be sent ahead into Massdot's Project Review Committee. This is a group of Massdot engineers that basically determines whether or not it makes sense for federal funds to be used on that particular project. Typically, not always, but probably 99% of the time, a larger project needs to have 25% design in order to make sense for the TIP. There are some smaller projects like bicycle parking, for example, where you might have guidelines or standards that are boilerplate that you can use in multiple places where you don't necessarily need that level of design. But typically you're looking at 25% to make sure you have a project that's ready to go. In the 2023 through 2027 TIP, we don't have any roadway projects currently proposed for federal aid. Again, we could, if you choose to endorse this today, you could always consider amending the TIP later after we go through that Massdot process I just described. Nantucket will be getting support from the Nantucket Regional Transit Authority. So the TIP includes about $2.5 million in operating assistance for federal aid, and there's also some money from the state for capital support here. So if you looked at the document in full, you'll see that it's largely baked. However, Massdot did have some requested edits. These are mostly administrative, and so they were okay with the NP and EDC endorsing the TIP today. Should it be their pleasure, we can incorporate these edits later. I just listed them here for you for reference. They asked us to add a scoring practice language consistent with what's in our long-range plan today. That's easy enough to do. Update the target setting deadline for safety performance measures. They have all these safety performance measures. One is PM1, which is about safety. Update the obligation authority per the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. The ceiling, the amount that's listed, and I think we mentioned this last time, is actually a little bit higher than what's in the current document because of the approval of the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. Showing a distribution of previous projects for review of geographic equity. That's basically just putting in a map to show where our previous projects were. And there's a couple other formatting requests. So I'll turn it over to you all to discuss. But again, the recommended motion here is to close the 21-day comment period and endorse the FY23 through 27 TIP, incorporating edits as proposed by Massdot and any kind of edits that you would like as well. So I'll take a moment here and see if there's any questions and we can take your action, then move on to the UPWP.
Okay, Patrick, thank you very much. I just want to, I get a little bit lost here. Just want to make sure we open this public hearing. So I want to make that clear because I skipped over that part of this. So we have to sort of open the public hearing to close the public hearing. So, Patrick, what's I gonna say? What are we looking at for stuff for the foreseeable future? I know that you're getting your feet wet now, and you're examining all the stuff that we've had in the long range transportation plan and some of the projects that were pre-COVID with Mike and so forth. Like, we had roundabout issues, we've had different votes taken. We had Sparks Avenue, but I believe that that's a separate issue now. There was some other stuff, but have you had an opportunity to examine these separately and get sort of, up to speed on all that stuff?
So my current process is sort of like a triage. Right now, I'm looking for contracts that are open, things that have a certain level of design already underway. A couple of the projects that I've looked at recently, the Milestone bike path extension across the street from the current bike path, reconstruction of Lover's Lane as a roadway, Wawunet bike path that we have actually existing federal grant money associated with that. So trying to kick off the design for that. That one hasn't had any design work, but we kind of got to move it along here. Some in-town bicycle improvements, the Mill Hill project, which does have substantial design work done for that bicycle connection. So those are sort of at the top of the list because my understanding right now is A, there's either public support behind those, or B, we have a certain level of design and it makes sense to try to advance things further. That's not a comprehensive list by any means. I'm sure there's other projects out there that folks would be interested in moving forward. And I'm looking forward to working with you all to kind of get a sense of what your priorities are. You're ahead of what I thought. You've rattled off the important ones that have support, especially Mill Hill one, which have you dug into that? That's over 10 years of discussion. Yeah. The way I understand that one is there's basically some plans that are shovel ready, which they've been sitting for a little bit, so it makes sense to have our DPW team take another look at it just to make sure everyone's comfortable with the design, but then talk as a staff and a department and with other departments as well in terms of what the next steps are for that bicycle path, because I think that one might be, from my sort of general review, that one's probably the furthest along and closest to being ready to put out to bid.
Yeah. And then I'm sure that you've heard about the in-town phase 2, phase 3 by Marine Lumber towards East Creek Road. That one there, you'll have to get an update from Andrew or whatever on that. But that was another one that kind of stalled because of easements, poles, land issues. There's a whole bunch of different things with that, but that's good. And that Wawunet one is that's actually an amazing thing. If that can happen before I'm too old, that would be great. Because that's quite a project, and there was federal funding because of something to do with federal beach and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good one. So okay, does anyone have any questions for Patrick before we go to the public? If there's any questions? Hello, does anyone have any questions for Patrick from the commission? I can't see anyone, so apologize. Megan.
Patrick, would you mind to unshare your screen just till you get on to the next topic?
There we go. Took me a minute.
Thank you.
There we go. Thanks, Patrick. Does anyone have any questions?
If there aren't any public comment, I'd make a motion to close
Well, hold-
the,
hold
We
on
do
a
have one
second.
person from, we do have one person from the public. But I,
Go to Barry first, and then we'll go to the public. I didn't see his hand there just now.
I promise I'll be brief, Mr. Chairman, but through you to Patrick, did you receive any comments, Patrick, over the 21 days?
I did not receive any comments. I am anticipating at least one comment during this hearing tonight.
All right, no, because I just want to check in because realistically, there's been 21 days to comment. So, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, here we are last minute and, you know, this really is something that probably, you know, I would like to think people should have taken a little bit serious with this. So that's why I'm questioning whether you had anything or not. All right. Thank you.
If I may really quick, and
That's kind of
this is
common.
a very brief follow-up. One thing that I probably am not doing a great job emphasizing is while these do seem very final, these are living documents, the UPWP and the TIP. You can come back and amend them. And so there's sort of like, I just put that out there for, I know the commission's aware of this, but I put that out there for the general public just because I think sometimes these processes don't always seem like, they seem very final, and it doesn't make something seem like a living document, where in reality, you know, if things change, there's always the opportunity for the commission to go and make different decisions, and we can amend the TIP.
In other words, it's not like Chapter 90. You know, where you just get, you know, can kind of do what you want with certain amounts of money. That's the difference. Okay, Megan, you kind of muted. You're muted for a second there. There you go.
oh, we have Hillary with her hand raised, so I'll bring her over.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for hearing from me. Patrick, thank
Go
you
ahead.
for, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead,
Yeah,
Hillary.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for hearing from me. And thank you for the opportunity to participate in the public hearing about the TIP. I too am surprised that there aren't more public comments because I know that so many people on Nantucket are really concerned about traffic and intersections and sidewalks. So I just didn't want to miss the opportunity to come to the public hearing, even though it's in this webinar format, and talk a little bit to you and hope that you could hear some of the thoughts that I have about intersections and transportation. So I apologize that I didn't give my comments in writing earlier. You know, the 21-day period coincided with town meeting and the election, and I just didn't have time to put them in writing. I did submit a question to Patrick earlier just about the Francis Street intersection and wondering if that might be a suitable project for the TIP, because I think it's under $400,000 of spending, and I would hope that it's been fiscally constrained and it is scheduled for work. So I know we have a little over $500,000 of federal aid that we could get, but I'm sure there are complexities with that. But I guess that was one question I have. I don't know if it's appropriate to address it, but the other comments just about the TIP and priorities. I'm just so grateful that we have a transportation planner back who can work on some of these problems. From my perspective, the things that I would really like to see put to the front of the queue, even though I know it's a very difficult one, is fixing the Milestone Rotary to be a modern roundabout. We've done a lot of plans for this, and I know it's, I just, you know, there was this study done by Beta on the whole South Road corridor, which highlighted the importance of improving the Milestone Rotary to make it an all yield entrance roundabout, because it contributes to backups in other places. And I think the language that Beta used specifically was that if that problem wasn't addressed through redesign, it could lead to overbuilding or overcapacity in other areas because the whole system depended on it. So just as Patrick gets his oriented and starts to focus on which projects should rise to the top, I think it would have huge benefits for traffic flow if that could be tackled. Another comment that I had about roundabouts in general is just how much, and now I'm speaking in my role, my preservation planning role with the Historical Commission, how much the Historical Commission would like to see some of these smaller roundabout designs. I know there were some very creative designs advanced for Four Corners. In fact, I think the hospital had submitted a request to do like I don't know what you call them, but it's like two smaller roundabouts run together. It looks very strange, but these are like Federal Highway Safety Administration approved designs. And I really hope that we could have an expansive view and welcome some community investigation of some of these traffic designs. And I think they would work really well aesthetically on Nantucket. And it's just so important with all the building that's going on that we improve some of these intersections in ways that are compatible with the historic setting. The other thing I wanted to mention, just as part of my participation in the public hearing, is the signs on Milestone Road. So the Historical Commission, and we weren't alone, was a little surprised by all of the signs and felt that it was excessive. And since the signs went up, their town meeting passed a bylaw limiting the size of signs. I think all those signs are 30 inches and many allowable signs would be 24 inches, and that's kind of the standard size that the DPW has on its other projects. So there is a Department of Cultural Resources at the DOT that the Historical Commission liaises with, and we did put in a request to have permission to take down, obviously not all of the signs, but some of the signs that we consider duplicative, and the select board agreed with us when we presented to them several years back. And I just think that this effort would be helped so much if there could be a formal request from this commission. I know that's outside of the tip, but it's a tip related project. So, I have other things on my list, but I realized my public comment is getting a little bit long for this hearing. But I just wanted to emphasize how much I think the public really does want to participate in discussions of transportation. And that, maybe if they were announced at the select board or other avenues were supplied, so that it's more than just, people like me who are really focused on planning and roads might participate as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. That's quite a bit. That's about 15 years of stuff there. Actually, it might be a little longer with Four Corners. I think that was 2003. The struggle of getting roundabouts. So, Andrew, one of the things that Hillary mentioned would be nice. I think we voted at town meeting for the easement from the Lucille Hayes property which is part of the reconstruction of the James Coffin Rotary. Am I correct?
Right, we have authority to go onto water company property as well as land bank.
Yeah.
Land bank has just granted. Land bank just granted or created the plan to grant the town the additional right of way along their property for the bike path that was built. So that is one of the many projects that I believe Patrick again is. As he just described, has a full plate of projects to recreate here. HB, we think, had a contract at one point for the Milestone Rotary, and something that definitely we want to bring back. But everyone will have to remain patient on some of these projects. Again, we have a new DPW director that's not, speed on all of these projects. In addition, we don't have a full board of NP and EDC members. I mean, that's not going to be established till the end of June. So,
Andrew, can I just, 2 years ago, we voted at town meeting, I believe it was either 2 or 3, about the roundabout. You know, the rotary turning into a roundabout with the state. I thought the state that was a state project that wasn't part of our tip. Am I wrong about that?
we had design money to do that, and which was actually funded by the state. But
Okay.
That authorization is, I think, long gone at this point. So.
Okay. Well, we have the land now, because we had the land and then we didn't have the land, and now we have it again, right? We had to go to the state to get that.
Those were home rule petitions, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Now, Patrick mentioned Lover's Lane. I haven't heard that brought up yet about TIP. That's a good, that certainly will take care of something. That's going to be a big project to do that.
This is an initiative that Patrick has sort of taken on, and to look and see if that's possible. There's some, there's some underfunding of a lot of these projects that has to be investigated here. There may need to be supplemental funds appropriated. I think you're aware that, we're in a period of inflation right now where, some of these estimates that are back from 2018 and 19 are not adequate for the current climate. Again, that's another, we've had several meetings with town administration to go over where we are with these projects and these contracts. So there's much to do.
Well, what's attractive about that idea is that there's a lot of bicycle path as part of these, that, the Boulevard Road projects, which is what we used to call it. So, so that's huge. If there was a way to do both private, both town funding and state, maybe because of that component, somehow that would be a great idea if that's possible. Barry, you've had your hand up, I think, like 3 times. No,
I'm gonna time out.
Okay. So, Patrick, do you have any response to any of this? I mean, there's a lot of design work. Hillary brought up Beta. Quite frankly, I think Beta was the best consultant that I've seen in my long period of time here watching consultants. They were the only ones that, how do I say this, described the functionality of a roundabout in a way that I think anyone could understand. How they described it, how they showed what makes a roundabout different than a rotary. And I can't remember the guy's name that was here, but they were good. And I can't remember his name right now, but I'm glad you brought them up. I mean, I'm glad Hillary brought them up, because they were good. They did a pretty extensive amount of work, and they even proposed something that I think would be great, but it'd be tough to sell to Nantucket as a roundabout that nobody had found in Milestone. They were the only people that ever brought that up to my knowledge. But this was before COVID. So this is why you forget these things, and it's like, I remember it pretty well. So anyway, do you have any comments, Patrick?
Just before we move on to the UPWP, I'd say they're all helpful comments. One thing I do try to remind folks is our obligation authority year to year. Right now, it's between 600 and 700. Well, under 700, it's really 600 to 675 or 675,000, which is not going to get you really the whole way on any project right now. So that's something to keep in mind. That doesn't mean you can't supplement with local funds. There are different ways to move projects forward, but I try to keep that in folks, the forefront of folks' minds, because I don't think we can rely on our TIP as the only source of funding for something like as large as a rotary. I'm glad there was talk about innovation and roundabouts. I think you might be talking about There was a Penuttabout concept up in Cambridge at Inman Square, which is kind of cool, which is that two, roundabouts put together thing that I think Miss Rayport referred to. And yeah, I think there's a lot of great innovation in intersection design right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's amenable to you all. I think these tighter designs that you're mentioning, they tend to be safer because they slow people down. That's a good thing. Just got to kind of balance the needs of everybody, right? When you do a roadway design. So trucks, pedestrians, bicyclists, regular drivers. But generally really helpful comments. I appreciate them. And I think moving on to the UPWP, you'll notice some of the work that we have planned sort of syncs up with some of the discussion that we've had.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
We do have Hillary with her hand up again for public comment.
Okay, Harry, one more. Go ahead, wherever you are.
Hi, thank you. Yes, so I just wondered about the Francis Street intersection. I just wondered, just for my own education, why a project would not be one that we would program on the tip. I'm just thinking about the taxpayer, Nantucket taxpayers are paying for that. And why wouldn't that be something we would pursue federal funding for?
Sure. If I may, it's a good idea. I think anytime you have a project, you want to look at the different ways you can fund it. In terms of dropping it on the tip tonight, from my perspective, I don't think we're quite there yet because we haven't worked with our engineers at State Highway to kind of go through the process with them to understand if it would be a tip eligible project. The project would have to go through their project review committee. So there's a number of steps. It would be, it's not as easy as unfortunately just dropping something on the tip, but that doesn't mean that we can't think about it later if it is a project that makes sense. And again, the group could come back and amend the tip. But I would also note too, there is work going on at that intersection right now. And I think the first step before doing anything would probably be to kind of check in with the DPW, see what's going on there, see what the long-term plan is, and make sure that kind of everybody's aware and we've got a good path forward.
That project's being funded by Chapter 90. And we're lucky it's even getting done. I think we need to just drop that and move on to the things that are sort of not as pressing, as far as like that intersection has been getting designed and changed for about 3 or 4 years now. And we're lucky that they're even doing it right now. I don't want to get into it further because I know too much about that and I'd like to not, I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but we are very lucky. I can tell you right now that we're lucky that's being done. Just so you know. So I bless myself driving through there every day knowing it's getting done. So there's plenty of other things that we can be looking at that are all sort of in the queue, I guess you call it. And the other thing, Patrick, for you and for Raisha, who's her first time on, Nantucket loves to say no before it says yes. And I'm telling you, roundabouts is probably at the top of the list of things we only have one. And we're lucky we even have it because there was a lot of pushback. And it worked so well, we forgot that we were against it. What Hillary's talking about with the Sparks Avenue side is 100% true. As far as the rotary makes the roundabout look like it doesn't work because the rotary doesn't work. That's what makes that happen. But to sell that to Nantucketers is difficult. So Milestone, if that could magically get fixed next, it could make the other 6 places that need roundabouts easier to accept. But unfortunately, this is how we do things here. We wait for things to cost 5 times more and we say no, 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 and then we finally say yes. So this is just the way it is. But I'm happy to hear Patrick talk about Lovers and that project, which has got, I believe, Skyline is part of, I mean, not Skyline, Akawa is part of that as well, which it's the first time I've heard that mentioned. I don't think anyone's ever mentioned that yet, Patrick. So you're doing some digging because I haven't heard that yet brought up about any kind of state funding. So thank you for that. Does anyone else have anything before we move to close the 21-day, well, close the public hearing and then close the 21-day? Barry, do you have anything? Sorry.
No, I want to get to that point. I think we've kind of exhausted a lot of these things, and so I'd like to make a motion at this point that we close the public hearing, if you would, sir.
I'll
Yeah.
second that, Barry.
Thank you, Bert. All those in favor? Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
thank you, Wendy, Maureen,
Aye.
and Jack,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Thank you. I'll accept a motion to close the 21-day public comment period.
So moved, sir.
Second.
All those in favor? Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, and the UPWP, Patrick, we opening the 21-day comment, correct?
I did want to recognize, oh, sorry, I was going to jump in and ask Megan to kind of,
No, it's okay. Can we also get a motion to endorse the tip as before we jump to the
sorry.
UPWP?
We need three motions. Okay.
So
Anyone want to make that? Okay.
I will.
And
we
so
need to-
I'm assuming that's the motion as Patrick presented it on the screen. Great, I'll second.
All those in favor? Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay, sorry, Megan. I only thought there were two.
That's okay.
All right. So Patrick, what are we doing here? We're opening the 21-day public comment period for the UPWP.
yep, that's right. We've got two things. We've got UPWP fiscal year 2022. We have an amendment to it, as well as the following item will be the actual fiscal year 23 UPWP. So we'll start with a small one. I'm going to kind of give the overview to cover both UPWPs just with this item because we've got two. But again, I will start with that motion. Potential motion right now would be to open 21-day comment period on the proposed amendment. Just a little note that there's two separate actions here, one for the following 23 UPWP. So what is it? It's a document that supports federal aid for our transportation work program. So important distinction here is we're not talking about construction and design funding. We're talking about funding staff, studies, in some cases consultants, and in some cases data collection hardware, things like that, that kind of move the ball forward on some of the things we're hoping to implement. Again, this is a living document, so what you approve today, we can always amend it. I know there was some discussion of beta earlier. I just pulled up one of the things that was funded through our UPWP previously back in 2017. This is the town's prioritization plan for complete streets. And some of the projects that we're talking today had their origins in this plan. So it's an important document. This UPWP, it kind of lays the groundwork for our work program. You can see that it feeds into both the long-range transportation plan and the TIP. And the amendment rationale for what's being proposed today has to do with a couple things. Staffing reallocation. So basically I was hired, so I was put on the contract. My position is funded, or ideally will be funded by the UPWP funds. We also have some other staff on the contract as well who would be supporting the transportation program, partially funded by the contract. The other items in the amendment, we are looking to, let's put it this way, we had a little extra money in our obligation authority. And so it makes sense to use that, right? And so I identified some direct costs in terms of data collection hardware that can kind of move us forward and get some data for us in terms of bike counters and trail counters, things like that. So we can justify our future requests and sort of do some cost savings on future studies. Also looking at a reallocation of budget to tasks based on our mid-year projection. So, and this is not uncommon. If you look at previous years, you'll see adjustments were made along the way. The reason this has to be a formal amendment process rather than just an adjustment, which doesn't require a vote, is because the change in amount is greater than 25%. So you can see the former budget is around 91K. The proposed budget's 221K. It still falls within our obligation authority. So the requested action is again to open that 21-day comment period on the proposed amendment. You see in your packet a more detailed explanation of the changes. And then the next steps following any review of comments at the June meeting, you could go ahead and approve the amendment if that were to be your pleasure. So I'll stop talking here, and if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, Patrick. Anyone have any questions for Patrick? Traffic counters, we haven't talked about that in a while.
Counters.
Okay. So, no one has any questions?
Barry
Okay,
has his hand up.
go ahead. You got this.
I'm not really seeing any questions at this point. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to open the 21-day comment period on the FFY 22 UPWP.
Second.
All those in favor? Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Jack. Can you see Jack's, is he muted?
He needs to put his hand on the space bar again and talk.
All right.
He's not muted. Now
Okay.
you're muted.
Yeah.
Try it, press the space bar again,
Okay.
Jack. One more time. There we
There
go.
it goes.
Okay, I've got an assistant here now.
Thank you. Okay, and chair votes aye. Thank you, Patrick, for all your expertise and how you explain this stuff. It's nice to hear that. Okay, we've missed that. Okay, Andrew, you want to discuss the open space plan situation?
Would you mind to take a quick motion to open the comment period for the 2023 as well? Barry's only included the 2022. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Oh,
And
okay.
so let me do the same thing for the 2023 as well too.
I thought that's what we were doing, so.
No, we had to-
And I thought I'm sorry, I thought we were going to that as a different phase of things. So I apologize. I would have included it otherwise, but so that'll be the motion at this point for the 2023 as well.
And once again, I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Bert. Thank you, Barry. All those in favor, Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
and Jack,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, now Andrew, sorry.
So in regard to the open space plan, so this is, you've seen in your packet a draft update of the survey that's required. So the open space plan, we had done surveys in the past, they are now out of date. So in order to finalize this plan, we need to reopen the survey before what I anticipate would be final action at our June meeting. So I did get some comments from Mary, and those changes have been made. Just to remind you, this funding for the survey came from CPC, and this is our third consultant on this project. The first consultant went out of business, and this is Weston and Sampson, who has also done the Park and Recreation Master Plan. So the idea is that this open space plan will all be consistent with that earlier work. So that's all I have to tell you about right now. If there's any further comments on the survey, I need to hear them. Maureen has her hand up.
Go ahead. Maureen.
I was just thinking it would be, since it's been a while since the survey was done, when we get the results of this one, it would be useful to compare it to, a prior survey and see how people's perceptions and needs have changed since that last one. Do you know when that was, Andrew, off the top of your head?
Megan, do you remember? I know we did it. It was, I think in 19, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was 2019, just before COVID, and we followed the same format that we had used in prior years.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how life with COVID will change people's needs. So, thank you.
I see a hand up for Wendy.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I apologize if I missed this. I just wondered, what is our procedure for putting it out in other languages, and like how exactly do we distribute it? You just refresh my memory, or maybe the public's.
Megan, I think when we did this on SurveyMonkey, isn't that right?
Yes, we did do it on SurveyMonkey, and we had Florencia at Town Admin translate it into Spanish and Portuguese as well. I assume we'll follow a similar process this time around if Weston and Sampson doesn't have someone in-house that they use for translation services.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it on that particular item.
I'm sorry, to Mary. Can I assume that we'll be sharing the results with the Park and Rec Committee and the new Park and Rec Director?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
I just wanted to remind you that the open space plan is required to open up some possible eligibility for some funding opportunities that exist. So that's that's an important issue for town administration, and we're in full communication with them on this. So,
Andrew, I'm going to ask you something. This popped into my head about this. Is the issue of mitigation ever part of this? Like, do the people that you're working with know that our situation is not like other places in that regard? I don't mean to bring that up, but the amount of open space that we have and this mitigation issue that we keep running into is like an issue.
Mitigation does come up when, especially when we convert, any open space, any land that's designated for open space, we have to make up that area if it's, taken out of open space and used for other purposes. So there's a statewide policy of no net loss of open space. And it's something that, we follow that. We haven't asked for any exceptions to that. This issue will come up, I know, with 2 fairgrounds, the 2 and 6 fairgrounds property, where I believe we're going to ask for a waiver to some of the state rules in terms of mitigation. Since the property was purchased and is being developed for affordable housing in the municipal complex, but in general, that's an underlying principle that we follow in all open space planning. So
I just think that, like, collectively with the land bank, like when they take a property and take a property that has dwellings and they make it into, as I call it, dirt, that's, I was talking with Jesse about that a few weeks ago, and that's sort of fits into what you just said about what we're doing with properties when we, you know, whether it's for housing or something other than just normal development, sort of like reverse development, because we just don't have any land left to be given, to be handed over. You know what I mean? And I just think that that issue at every level possible needs to be addressed. If there's any way that Nantucket could qualify for some sort of, I don't want to say waiver, but some sort of, whether it's financial or whether it's some other way to mitigate the mitigation, I guess, because that's an issue.
There is a mitigation process which allows a cash payment, but it doesn't necessarily stay with Nantucket. It can go to open space in a broader region. So that's something that we're kind of don't want to encourage either. So
Yeah, I hear you. Barry, you had your hand up 3 times. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
That's okay, no problem. Sorry, I'll be brief. I just want to say a few things real quickly. I'm glad Andrew brought up the CPC because I sat in on that, and that was definitely one of the things I tried to champion was to have the CPC get an open space plan done, and I have to give a lot of credit to Andrew as well too, to making that happen. And the beautiful part is it's consistent with the mission of the CPC. So in terms of funding, that's right where it should be at this point. It's coming directly out of those coffers. And the other thing too, which will be a very good thing that'll happen as well too, not only will it be beneficial to the town, but it's also going to help the CPC when they do their project determinations as well too. So there's a lot of pluses that come out of this. And I just really wanted to kind of bring that up and say I was very thankful for the CPC to move that ahead too. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Does anyone else have anything on this, Megan? You don't need any action. This is just a discussion, right, Andrew? Update. Okay.
correct. I just would encourage you all to take the survey. We will make sure to let you know when that is live, and anything you can do to get participation in that would be appreciated.
Yep. Okay.
The next item is just an update. Again, this is an update on the build out analysis. Weston and Sampson, again, the contractor that has been working on this for some time now. The funding for this comes from our DLTA state funds. We've received some preliminary data, and by the June meeting, we will probably have at least this out for initial discussion. You know, this is part of our needed work for the update to the master plan. And one side note on that is we did receive notice that some of the census data that we were hoping to receive has actually been put off till the fall. I don't know how that's going to affect our scheduling, but I did want to make you aware of it. So again, this is just an update. Weston and Sampson is getting towards the end of their contract, and I do expect to have information soon out on this, on the build out analysis, which again, that contract comes from the commission.
Okay. It's good that they're doing all this because they have all the data, especially with the sewer analysis stuff. This is probably pretty easy for them to do this, because they've taken over from what Parisi was doing before. Tom Parisi was. So, all right. Does anyone have any questions? I wanted to just ask Andrew a couple things, but I don't want to do that until everyone else has had a chance to say something about this build out analysis. Mary, you okay? I can only see a few of you, so okay. Andrew, other information on this, like this can cover topics that, you know, the public, the confusion of zoning, buildable land, you know, all the little darts that get thrown our way here and there every year. I think we have a really good opportunity to sort of kind of reset this discussion a little bit with this build-out analysis, because of the amount of open space that we have all supported since day one of that, and where we are now, and what we've done with zoning to reduce high density versus what we've done to balance it. And then the infill, you know, I mean, that term is old now, but it's still means the same thing. We didn't have covenants originally when that was talked about, but like second dwellings, now we have tertiaries, where tertiaries aren't allowed, that kind of thing, because that's confusing. That came up with a conversation that another board member had with somebody about that the other day. Some zoning doesn't allow tertiary, which is, you know, not everybody knows that. And that's important. Not just the zoning of R5 limited, R10 limited. I'm talking about CTAC and other zoning districts that don't allow tertiaries. So I think this is good though, because people need to know what can be built on, you know, the ground cover issue and things like that. So I'm just saying is, I just hope that, you know, some of that information can be provided with this through this process. I don't know if that's part of the contract with them or what, but you guys know some of this. You know, what our old conversation about ground cover of the island and, you know, tax land versus untaxed, this kind of stuff is kind of important. So that's, and then resiliency issue as well. You know, that's all part of it. So that's all I have. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Does anyone else have any questions before we go to the next discussion? Okay. Can't believe no one's asking any questions about this. Okay. Moving on to Andrew's review. Megan, you'll be proud of me. I got a password and I got it ready to go. I hope I do it right. I might have to come in though. I just don't have time to waste. So you might have to stay after work. So
I know Amanda had sent out a few different
confusing.
reminder emails, and the first one I think was the instructions on how to activate your link, which I think was maybe lost in communication. So if you get stuck or can't find that email, feel free to reach out and we can have Amanda resend it to you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could I just?
Yes, go ahead, Andrew.
I just
Yep.
want to remind commission members that this is the period between February 1st, 2021 and January 31st, 2022.
Okay. Well, hopefully everyone can figure it out. Megan, you're probably going to have to help, or Amanda or somebody. Jack, do you think can you get your assistant to help you with this, or if you reached out?
Yeah,
to
I have
Megan?
no problem, yeah.
Okay,
Most of the time.
beautiful. Thank you.
And these are going to be due on May the 20th. So you have a couple of days left, but not too long. So if you haven't done it already and you get stuck, again, feel free to reach out and we can help you through, but make sure that they're done by the 20th.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next item, Andrew.
Next item is, again, this is an announcement that this is something that you as a commission and I worked on together to, number one, create the new position of Transportation Program Manager and work to remove that from the union and get that in the management group. So the town recently voted to approve the contract, and this position is now outside of the union. So there still is a transportation planner position, which is vacant at this time and not funded. That'll be a discussion as we build our budget for the upcoming year. But I wanted to make you aware of this, that this task did get completed finally. And at some point, I will be back to the commission to talk about a contract for our new manager position. But similar to my own position, Leslie's position as the deputy director and the building commissioner, these management positions are now, outside of the union at this time. So that took a lot of work and a lot of cooperation with town administration to get this done. But it was one of the goals on my list, and I wanted to make sure you knew about it. So.
Yep. Thank you for that. And yes, I didn't know every detail, but thank you, Andrew. That's good. Okay. Assuming there's no comment on that. Annual town meeting recap. Andrew,
Megan put a great little summary sheet into your together, and it's included in the packet. I'm not sure if there's any of the articles that you wanted to talk about, but I think in general, most of the action I think followed or is in line with what the commission took on the articles. So we'll have other specific items later, but again, if there was any sort of discussion about town meeting or the articles, it's included here for your discussion.
Andrew, what's just a quick thing, this is more planning board than planning commission, but sometimes when I was talking with Dave about this, the articles that don't get called, sometimes they need to be discussed. I know we don't, that's one of my things about town meeting. It's not a public hearing. You can't just stand up and say, oh, can we talk about this article even though no one called it? You can't do that, but I want to, but you can't. But I don't know how are we gonna, all the people that are in the trades or, working for the people that have applications. Is Housing Nantucket, I would assume with Affordable Housing Trust, will have some sort of an announcement about the second covenant in that article and the tertiary lot?
Talk to them about a workshop type meeting or something, if that's something you'd be interested in doing.
I just want to make sure that, that we certainly know every time the steamship has a blip in about 1 millisecond. I just was hoping that there was a way to have that go out there somehow through their channels. I think that's probably the best thing to do, because that didn't get discussed. None of it did. So it's very, no, I don't think that everyone knows about it, is what I'm trying to say, except the people that obviously worked on it, they know, but not the general population.
It might be worthwhile to go over some of the changes specifically so people are aware of, like, the changes to the tertiary dwelling.
Yep, and the workforce housing bylaw,
right,
square footage of land, that kind of thing. And also for next year's town meeting, I know it's early, but not really when you think about it, getting the next step with that, whether you guys have a plan for the R20 with certain size lots, that type of thing, or a special permit, where we can waive it or something like that. Because we've already had 2 people bring it up already, it hadn't even passed yet.
Right.
So anyway, that's all I have, Andrew. Barry, you got your hand up. Go ahead. And Mary, after Barry, sorry about that.
No, go to Mary first.
Mary, go ahead. I
and then
missed.
I'll
Mary,
pick up the band here.
You're so perfect in the middle. I didn't even notice the hand before. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Nat. So the Article 91 and 92 that failed, were there things depending on that? Are there consequences to that action, or what are the next steps in that regard for that property at 31 Easy Street?
So I can tell you that we are going to have an updated meeting with the interested parties. That article can come back again, so it's not an article that is, has to wait 2 years or longer. I hope that where we will be is involved in active negotiation for a purchase of that property, which is what the property owners represented before town meeting. So I hope that, and there can be a purchase, there could be an arm's length purchase of the property without further action by town meeting per se. If we can work out the finance in that case. So, that wouldn't require a taking. So hopefully we have not given up on that particular project. And I don't think the property owners are opposed to the town and the group buying it. It's just the eminent domain argument can usually without more active negotiation. There has been, I will say, there was ongoing negotiation for several years, but it's kind of difficult to get into all of that in a town meeting forum. So anyway,
Thank you.
not gone and not forgotten, that article. So
Okay. Anyone else have any? Oh, Barry, you go ahead. Wherever
Thanks.
you went.
You know,
You disappeared.
That's okay. Just kind of a quick analysis of things. I think we did pretty damn good. We won. We won a lot of significant things, whether you care to choose or not. And even if the article isn't called, that speaks volumes to things. So I just really want to announce that. And I think you all as a commission need to be proud of some of the work that you put into it that forms the baseline for the stuff happening as well too. So, I just kind of want to have you reflect for a minute as well that you're a very integral part of this process, making that work. And you should, if you walk away from town meeting, you should feel really good about what we were able to achieve. The other thing I want to throw out to you there, Mr. Chairman, is, and maybe through Megan as well, is that maybe at one of our future meetings, if not June, maybe September, I think we ought to schedule a little time with Tucker Holland as a committee and him, maybe for about a good 15 minutes, 20 minutes to kind of get an update from him and see what's not only happening, but what is he looking at as well too. I found that when we did this on the planning board, like with the DPW, the sewer director, the water company was one of the most fantastic ones I ever sat through. Mark Willett did such a stellar job. But I would like to really encourage us that we get that onto the agenda, either for June, depending upon how busy it is, or maybe in September, October, as we start rephasing things, and get out of the summer mode. So please give that some serious consideration. Thank you.
Yep. Mary, go ahead.
Nat, I'm going to follow what Barry said and connect it to what you said earlier. Those appearances by a department representative, those are really valuable resources for the public. I have used that water company presentation multiple times.
Yeah.
I think what you might do is invite several housing representatives from the different agencies, sit down and have the conversation about the changes to the bylaws that were passed at town meeting, and also get an update from them on what's going on. I think it'd be a very valuable reference point for people interested in affordable housing and what the opportunities are.
Agreed. Barry, you're suggesting sort of like I guess I would say a summit type thing, a little bit.
I wanted to start kind of small. I think certainly they're all going to bring some things to the table about what's going on, but Tucker is kind of like the central clearinghouse agency.
Yeah.
And I think he can bring in a lot of it. I think having a little conversation with him saying, well, what do you think? as much as I want to hear from everyone, it would be great. I'm just concerned that all of a sudden 20 minutes is going to turn into 2 hours and 20 minutes. But Tucker should be able to, I think just having that initial conversation with him, we should be able to, you know, get some things accomplished. But again, Mary, I love you. I love you. It's just thrills me to no end to hear that someone actually heard some of the work that we tried to put in place with Mark Willett. And like you said, it was just great because it was at a juncture too where people were saying, we're running out of water. And there's Mark saying, yeah, there's a water table about another 400 feet down that runs betwixt here and the Cape. So we're not running out of water for a while. But thanks. You don't often hear that someone said, oh, I heard that. And, you know, it was meaningful. It was good. And I heard part of what went on. So I'm hoping that with Tucker, we can do the same thing again. So thank you.
Okay. And also, this my thought was with listening to you both talk about this is answering questions before they're asked that people have, like last summer with the 100,000 people thing and the stuff. You know, this year there'll be something else. I urge you all to read the Looking Backward column this week. You have 2 wonderful little paragraphs. One is 1947 was the worst traffic ever on Nantucket. I love it. It reminded me of the Cisco Estates letters from 1967 saying that what are we going to do with all these houses out in Cisco? So we've been at it for a long time. So, and then the other one was earlier in the 1900s, but I had to do with the same issue. Does anyone else have anything on this topic before we move to the appointments discussion, which is just a discussion that we need to have because there's been so many different things that have overlapped in time, and Mary's idea of getting this on and discussing it at this meeting so we all know what we're doing. So I think that's good. Andrew, do you want to start this or do you want?
Yeah, sure. We can,
okay.
You know, just to remind you that our June meeting on the 27th.
Yeah.
Is the meeting where, you know, we're going to get our other planning board member appointed, and we have an at-large position to reappoint or appoint, and then we have the 3 other, the county commissioners, housing authority, and conservation commission. Hopefully that will all be set at that meeting. And then there's a number of different committees that the NPDC appoints to. And I know that you wanted to, you know, put those out there so people could start thinking about what they might be interested in ahead of time. So the one committee that has been inactive for a while that, you know, Patrick may have some thoughts on is this, the Bpac Committee. Whether to get that reestablished or not, or what people's thoughts are on that. So,
yep, yeah. Can I comment on that? And Patrick, can you hear me, Patrick? I don't know where you are. Somewhere on this screen. Can you hear me, Patrick?
Yep, we can hear you all right.
Have you talked to Jason Bridges at all since you've?
I have not.
Okay. All right. You're gonna have to get his number and I'll text it to you. So the Bpac Committee is something that came out of this commission that was one of the best ideas that's ever happened, that sort of fizzled in the last couple of years, year and a half, that we need to get back. I've spoken to him a lot recently about this. He was sort of, it was him and Mike who kind of handled this committee, and it was a sort of a sort of separated out and focused on specific things regarding, you know, other than vehicles, you know what I mean? There's a lot, like you see some of those sharrows around now, like you'll see some get painted on Huzzy Street pretty soon. I think they should be getting painted on Huzzy Street. They painted the other ones, but they did a lot of work on things that are oddball streets and places that don't make any sense here. There's a lot of that. So that needs to get reestablished. You got to get involved and sort of find out, you know, historically and where they've left off with him. And he definitely is looking forward to that meeting up with you. Andrew, I think maybe Megan remembers this, or Leslie, God, this is a while ago. Didn't we vote the members in a block? I think we did. The last time we had this in front of us was definitely at 4FG, I can tell you that. And we voted, I believe, everybody that wanted to be back on it at once. It wasn't like 3 years, somebody's up kind of thing. It was sort of a, you know, different format. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I don't know if you guys have that information in front of you, but I'm pretty sure that that's true. I think it was 2019, maybe early 2020. I'm not sure. But anyway, and Patrick, you're gonna be on traffic safety Thursday, correct? Did you get that link?
I am. Yep, I got that.
Erica? I just wanted to say that because it just popped into my head. So, because you have to do that. That's stuff that's sort of resetting the new guy. You know what I mean? So, all right. So, Andrew, what is your thought, other than what I've said as far as this? Is this, you know, next month or two, get with Jason, find out what he wants to do, and sort of get the members, and you know, there may be some people that want to get back on. I believe Harvey got off at that time, as I recall.
I believe we advertised. I think we advertised for this, so we will need to advertise if that's the route we're going to go.
How many members were there on this? 7? I can't remember.
Either 7 or 9. I can't remember either at this time. But
okay. All right. Anyone have any questions? Wendy, is your hand up, or is that just? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I serve on behalf of this committee for the Rural Policy Advisory Commission, if we want to put that back on. I mean, add that to our list there.
Oh my God. Okay.
Is that annual, Wendy, or do we do? Are you?
I don't remember. I don't believe it was ever stated in sort of the enabling legislation in the first place, but it hasn't been revisited for a bit.
Okay. We'll add that. Great.
Mary, go ahead.
I just looked on the town's website. There were 7 seats on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. They were all 3-year terms. It says on the website they all expire June 30th of this year. One of the seats was vacant, according to the website. So we would need to advertise for new terms because all of these terms are expired.
Okay, so we did vote them in a block then. Okay, well, that makes sense in 2019 then, Andrew. This memory pills must be helping me. That's good. Okay, so the next thing, if anyone else has anything to say regarding the bike committee, we can move on to the Poor Housing Trust. That's pretty much a no-brainer. Bylaw committee, Andrew, we were waiting. What were we waiting for? We have to appoint one more person in June, correct? Okay.
We had quite a lot of input from both Judith and Fritz on the drafts that we had done.
Yeah.
So we need to update that. I mean, there was some thought about whether it's sort of an interim change, again, depending on how we're going to look at the legislation. So I think I do think that the bylaws need to be updated and, you know, at least for this year, that this should, you know, shouldn't be a big time commitment. I think it could be done fairly quickly.
Okay.
It may lead, depending on what we do with the legislation in terms of any sort of amendment to it. I mean, that may
Yeah,
require
that's
this
what I wanted
committee to do additional work, but for now, I think
that was what I was going to ask, but you did it much better than I couldn't even figure out how to ask it. So yes, that's what I was thinking. So, which would be later, but that makes it that much more important. So to get that set up correctly. So the MARPA position, Andrew, that's straightforward.
there's not a lot. I mean, there's an annual meeting that used to, you know, happen. It may start up again now that we move past COVID or not. That seems like a long time ago. Barry and I went to one of those in Worcester, right, Barry? You remember that? So again, I don't know. There's not a lot for that person to do at this time. And I think, Leslie, do you have an update from MARPA on where some of the other regions, I think some of them don't even have a rep, is that right?
Yes, so we're actually going to can you all hear me? I think my computer's freezing. We're going to discuss that at MARPA on Friday. I called and talked to the chairwoman about appointing a rep and, you know, what duties they may have when things return to in-person. And she expressed to me that she doesn't think any of the other regions have a rep. So we're going to have that as an agenda item on Friday.
Mr. Chairman, that I saw it on the agenda, the MARPA agenda, and I thought, you know, maybe there would be some interest in the various reps meeting at some point, but I don't know. We'll see what they discuss.
Is this something that Patrick could help us with since he's off island? I don't know if we have our own rep and I think we should keep our own rep, but is it something that he could help us with like, oh my God, I have to meet with them or something that comes up out of nowhere, that type of thing?
This was mainly focused on the policy people getting together. So this was, a rep from all the regional planning agencies that, are policy voters getting together. That was
okay.
That's how it was before, but, that director, I mean, the MARPA has changed over from that earlier time. So things are different now. So anyway, we'll see. We will have
that's sort of a pending
at the June meeting.
It's sort of a pending thing. Okay. Capital Committee, kind of something that's near and dear to me a little bit. We don't have anyone on that currently right now. And I think we need to have our full, boards in place before we have that conversation, because that's really important for that to be a serious candidate for that. I can't do it. I used to do it. I just simply cannot do that. The time is insane for me to do that. But they don't meet this time of year that much, if at all. It might be an occasional meeting. Could check with Steve and find out what's going on. But I think we have time to figure that out over the next couple months, Andrew.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's all I have on that. I know they're starting work already for the next.
Are they?
Yeah, so we do need to. Christy was our rep before. So,
Yep. Yep. Okay. Contract Review Committee. Currently is Bert. And what did Wendy just say? She wanted to add her. What was the other one?
Rural
She asked, I didn't-
policy, rural
Yeah,
policy.
there
advisory
you go.
commission. Yeah.
Okay. All right, does anyone have any questions, comments, etc. on any of this? Mary's, we've changed, what did we do? What did we change? We changed something over to,
I
The
think that,
commission of the
that
board.
hasn't been discussed yet here, Nat. So that's
Okay.
coming up in June.
we're gonna bring that up in June. Okay, great, okay. All right, so what else do we have, Andrew?
Your last item is discussion of the resuming the in-person meeting and meeting times. So
Yeah. So what have you guys talked to town administration about as far as options for us? Because I know that's gonna come up as far as planning board and this, and at least for hybrid. I don't know if we rise to that level or not, but if it's
So
in
what
place.
I've decided is just as far as reserving, oh, sorry. I think my computer was skipping out. We have 4 FG reserved as well as a Zoom slot reserved for the 27th, based upon this discussion. And if the governor extends the order to allow for allow for Zoom meetings only past mid-July when it currently expires.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Has there been discussion, Megan, you seem to be on top of this stuff. Where's the threshold with the in-person versus Zoom versus hybrid? Because like, for example, like small committees that are not, regulatory, I'm assuming that Zoom is going to continue and there's not really a governor issue with stuff like that, but there is with other boards and commissions, I'm assuming. So has anybody else done hybrid besides select board?
Yes, I think Board of Health is also doing hybrid.
Okay.
I think HDC as well.
I personally would be very much in favor of going hybrid if that option is available to us. Yeah, we have a DOT member, and I found it much nicer to have somebody on Zoom rather than to have them call in to a meeting, especially if we have multiple people call in to the meeting. That gets really difficult to manage.
And Mary hit the nail on the head. Having in the old days with Derek on the phone and the scratching noises and it's ridiculous. I mean, I hate to say it, but this has put us in a different world regardless of COVID. I mean, COVID introduced us to Zoom. And I'd much rather see a face and a person talking than a voice coming out of a thing that looks like something from Lost in Space 1968. You know what I mean? So, we had that at the steamship, this weird looking phone with this, like, it looked like some Martian thing. But anyway, this is better, Andrew, I just don't want to overstep what we can do through the technology. So Megan, it sounds like you've already reserved a spot for hybrid for the end of the month, or the end of June?
Not for hybrid. It's my understanding hybrid requires an extra level of participation with NCTV and town administration. I can find out more information on that. I just didn't know if you wanted to return full in person, so I thought to reserve the room. We can have the meeting in June fully Zoom, as we'd still be covered under the governor's order, and we can make a final determination at the next meeting. I think that might be the best route to go at this point.
Mm-hmm. And that would allow the members to weigh in on that question.
Yeah, that way I can get more information about, maybe stay on Zoom for June. In the meantime, I can touch base with Erica and town administration to see if we're eligible or how the process works for the hybrid meeting, since we're non-regulatory. So that may or may not change someone's opinion. And at that point too, we should know if the governor's order has been extended. So that may or may not be an option moving forward past June.
Okay. Wow.
It's fair to say the preference is either Zoom or hybrid though, right? Is that?
Yes.
what you're saying?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the right thing. It is. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's talk about full participation and open transparency, blah, blah, whatever, all of it. It really does make that happen. So in this particular case, Andrew, I mean, it's not like the right-of-way committee. It's not like the other stuff that I'm on and that other people are on. It's easy to do Zoom and just go home for lunch and go to a meeting than it is to have this be back in person, but people are calling on the phone or they're not on the Nantucket and they can't participate because they can't do it the way we've been doing it. I mean, it's kind of backwards now. So I think this is way better, but we'd have to do hybrid to make it go back in person, in my opinion, as Mary said. So, but if can the governor actually rule against Zoom, Megan? Is that what you're saying? That could happen?
I think it would be the Zoom only option that hasn't been renewed. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so we should know more for June. So we'll plan on the June 27th meeting being as we've been conducting 5 p.m. via Zoom. And at that point, I'll be able to present more information so we can make a more informed decision how we want to move forward.
Okay. Okay, Bert, Barry, sorry. I thought Bert had his hand up before.
Not a problem. No, I just want to say one other thing too. I remember pre-COVID, another problem the town was experiencing was meeting space as well too. Not necessarily for the regulatory boards, but for a lot of the advisory boards,
Right.
space was a commodity
Yeah.
that was out there. So Zoom actually kind of has helped resolve that issue. So I don't think you're going to see it go away all of a sudden. I think there will be a place for it. You know, and if it's a combination of hybrid as well too, so be it. But don't expect it just to disappear. Don't expect it to disappear. I think, you know, like you said, the technology has been novel and it's helped to revolutionize things and bring people together in a different way. My only wish is that I'm hoping one day that at least some of the general public members who show up, we can see their face as well too. It'd be nice to have that two-way communication again. But that's just a private wish. Anyways, thanks.
Yeah, no, I think what you're saying, Barry, is the pressure from other places is going to be the same, which I didn't even think of that. Right. Not like we're the only people that have all these different committees, you know? So anyway, okay, excellent. Mary, you good? Everyone else is still on? Okay. And the select board is sort of making it happen for everybody else right now. And I think it's working pretty good. I think it works. So far, it works pretty good. So, does anyone else have anything before we go to other business? Patrick, you still on?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask you something, circling back to sort of, I just want to say thank you for being here as well, because we've missed this component for a while and it's caused a lot of little problems. Now that we have someone that understands all this, it's really good to have you and we appreciate it.
Hear, hear.
It really is important. It's going to take a little while for you to figure out all what we don't do here stuff, what you can't say here because it's not going to happen. I have a list of those. I'll give them to you. What's never going to happen on Nantucket. But roundabouts, I want to get back on this roundabout thing. I think Andrew might correct me. I believe the one at the high school we started talking about, it might have been even before 2003, but I think it was 2003. And it's been, you know, a long time coming to finally get hope. I thought the public was ready for roundabouts before. I thought they were ready for them 4 or 5 years ago. And I was just curious if there's any like professional sort of some sort of video type of presentation on roundabouts that could be made public, whether through NCT or whether it's something else, I'm not sure, that has a discussion like we have on YouTube. I mean, my son knows more about World War II than I do. He's 10 years old. It's unbelievable how much you can learn. So how roundabouts work, the functionality, the angling, the folding of the vehicle is what I call it. This opening space, how they work, you know, how they slow people down, but puts them in a sort of a focused driving instead of being left, right, looking the other way, trying to see who's coming, that kind of thing. Crosswalks, that was the big one. It was very hard to get people to understand that it's actually safer to cross when the vehicles are looking at you than not even seeing you, like in a four-way stop. The other thing about roundabouts on the Nantucket, you're never going to have traffic lights on the Nantucket. There'll never be a traffic light on the Nantucket. So how they work year round, how they work in the middle of the night when there's not a single car, how they work when it's really heavy traffic, you know, it works for everything. And I think that, you know, I'm hoping that there was something that you may have worked on in your career to try to convince another community or whatever of this. I know they're doing it all over the country. They're ripping out big intersections and making them gigantic roundabouts. So it's not like it's new, it's just here, it's difficult. So that was my other business to you, Patrick. Go ahead, Barry, and then you, Bert.
Go to Bert first, please.
Bert, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I came across down in Florida, when you reminded me when you started saying crosswalks. In Florida, they've elevated the crosswalks like a high speed bump and painted them all up. So you have to slow down from where you're going to smash the bottom of your car. So that might be something we keep in mind for future crosswalk areas when we put in roundabouts or whatever, you know.
I think we did that on First Way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Humps, not bumps. And that's the first place that they did it at the crosswalk, is what Mary's saying. She's right about that. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Nat, I hope you remember as well too, when we were doing some of the roundabout stuff, the engineers who came in and did the design work for us actually did the presentation, and if memory serves me correct, that was recorded. And that presentation was really good because they not only talked about the functionality, brought the graphics on board, but they also did computer generated imaging as well too, to show traffic flow and stuff under the patterns. So I don't think we need to necessarily, it maybe is just worth a look to see where that is out there still in the universe.
Yeah, because I remember, Barry, that that Mike Burns was going to try to look and put it on the town website or something.
Right.
He had all those town votes about roundabouts.
It's just, you know.
Yeah.
No, Barry, that beta group was good. I think that's what you're referring to.
They were. So, you know, now I just want to say something to you too. Don't ever say never out here as well too, because God only knows 100 years from now, here and there. Matt Lowell said there was never going to be any traffic lights on Nantucket.
There's not going to be.
I'm messing with. I'm just trying to interject a little bit. That's all.
We used to paint. We used to paint the cobblestones and paint parking spaces on Main Street back when no one ever thought about it. I tell you right now, that'll never happen today. You know, it's just certain things. You know, so. That's all I have for you, Patrick. I just wanted to ask you that. It's just to kind of, you know, get you to sort of think about that as far as we had these listening sessions above 4FG on the second floor. and before, obviously, this is before COVID, we had a lot of, Robert, Neil, and Mike put together these little forums on things, changes, sidewalk stuff, different things like that. And now we have so many different options as far as communication. There may be another way to do it. So that's sort of where I'm headed. Okay, anybody else have any other business, new, old, etc.? Well, I guess we can adjourn.
Motion to
Somebody wants to
adjourn.
make a motion.
Second,
Thank you. All those in favor? Mary,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Bert,
aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Thank you all. Thank you, Patrick, for coming. Thank you, Raisha, for coming. And everybody else. Jack, thank you for being able to hang in there with us. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Good night.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see here.
What? No.